RTR, like research reactor, to be like the main supply for professional engineers to Jordan SMR project.
Thank you. And with that, given the time, I'd actually like to open the floor to maybe one or two questions. If anyone has anything they'd like to ask. Sure, Anna?
Thank you. It's Anna Clark from IAEA's Department of Nuclear Safety and Security. I have volume. So I have a question for whichever of our panelists are happy to answer. Really with environmental sustainability in mind, I wanted to know what discussions you have had with partners about spent fuel and radioactive waste. How do we make sure that host countries understand the infrastructure that they're going to need to have in order that the spent fuel and waste can be managed safely? Thank you.
So from a Polish perspective, we don't have an operating nuclear power plant. We do have a research reactor. We don't own the fuel, so the fuel, once coming into our research reactor, goes out to the country of origin. So we don't have to actually do anything with the fuel after that. So for our current development and our current situation, there is no issues because we solve them by discussing with the country of origin over the fuel. So that helps on one topic. But when we consider the future nuclear power plants, we already have a price tag that will help for the decommissioning fund in case when the operating plants will have to be decommissioned. So that's one thing. For the storage of nuclear waste, in Poland we have one repository for low and medium radioactive waste. We don't have a high radioactive waste storage facility, but it is a struggle to find one in Poland because there is maybe not enough information shared with the public in the places where there is the consideration of building those things. So this is, I wouldn't say yet urgent topic because the first units will be deployed in the next decade, but it starts to be more and more important, especially if we consider building not one nuclear power plant in Poland, but multiple sites, multiple technologies. So we have to keep that in mind, but it's not decided in Poland yet.
I'm just going to invoke the 3S here and segue over to safeguards, because when the message that we give is when you're planning to safely manage the waste, please include the fact that there's institutional controls from the safeguards people that you don't necessarily want to have applied to that waste in perpetuities. If it's spent fuel, it's going to be applied in perpetuity, and therein lies a lesson as well that people sometimes think it's not. When it goes to a geological repository, they think surely safeguards doesn't apply anymore because it's a half kilometer down and the state can't get at it. Safeguards will still apply. So it'll be a certain kind of safeguards, but safeguards still applies as long as there's an IAEA. Or things like dry storage containers, if you're procuring them, it's always a good idea to specify the ability to safeguard them if you're in a country under safeguards. So where is the seal going to go? And if the supplier says what safeguards or what's a safeguard seal, then you need them to really become aware of that, because that is a serious issue where we are retrofitting seals to large volumes of waste in containers that haven't had safeguards taken into account. For decommissioning waste, radioactive waste, we don't want to be applying safeguards to that, but we will if the concentration of uranium and thorium or plutonium in that material, if there's contamination levels, is high enough that we can't terminate safeguards. So we would like to terminate safeguards. We don't want to have to do safeguards on barrels of waste. Certainly operators don't want us applying safeguards on barrels of waste, but we do apply safeguards on barrels of waste today because in the development of the waste, the RAD waste management campaign, nobody thought about the fact that there's uranium in their barrels, and it was under safeguards, and maybe it was found, but in any case, it's over a certain concentration. So we can terminate if it's below a certain concentration, but it's too late if it's already cemented and super compacted and in a barrel and distributed by the hundreds into a narrow trench. It's much better if we talk ahead of time. That's our message.
So for me, the regulators are the responsibility there. because it's necessary to have the regulation for the whole process to the use of the reactors, you know. And I think that the regulatory body needs to involve the operators in the whole process because they need to understand, the operators need to understand the safety and the security recommendation and the security recommendation associated with the use of the reactors. So the regulators have a part of responsibility there.
Thank you. So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical, the financial, to the regulatory challenges, but also to the immense opportunities that SMRs and microreactors present in our journey towards a net zero future. So as we move towards the reception this evening, I'd encourage all of you to continue these conversations amongst yourselves and with the panelists, and reflect on how we can collaborate not just across sectors and countries, but also across generations to ensure these technologies contribute to a more sustainable world. So I'd like to thank the U.S. National Nuclear Security Administration for sponsoring this evening's event, and also the IEA Department of Nuclear Security and Nuclear Energy. Please join us in E-Space 0 for the reception. And again, thank you to all of our panelists.
Say it to me, say it to me, say it to me.